Hello YouTube, the Rebricker here. Welcome back as we build the next module of the Ball Factory. Today we're going to be building the bucket dumper. This will actually complete this part of the project, aside from the conveyor system which runs up at the back of the machine. Let's get started. If anyone recalls from last video and my Google Plus post, there's a word I'm trying not to say in this video, so we'll throw a counter up in the top and we'll see if I can keep it really low so I don't have to give too much chocolate to Mrs. Rebricker. Here we go. And just like that, we've completed our first part of today's build. Let's turn this around and we'll put it in place. We can remove the bucket shifter assembly here because that just drops into place. And if you've lined this up correctly, you'll notice this here is going to line up right here, and this will mount on top of our wall. So we'll get that in place. Now it might get a little bit tricky as you're putting it in. We'll move this tile, this 1x4 tile, out of the way. And we've got to get this underneath the chain, the conveyor system. So press that into place, looking good, right there. Doesn't line up. Okay, so I'm off by one. My mistake. This here, so it lines up right along this line. Lines up right here along this line. We're just one more in. There we go. And again, underneath that chain, lock it into place. We'll put our tile on top, press that down into place. If you're building this as you go, you'll see exactly how it fits. Beautiful, just like that. And now that that part is in place, we can put the load shifter back in. Be careful, you may even need to remove this depending on the position that it's in. If you remove this, you'll have easier access to drop the load shifter in. Got this guy here, and we're all good to go for the next part of our build. For ease of installation, we're going to put this part of the dumper in now. Just make sure everything is fairly loose, that it all moves smoothly. Very important. And you'll notice that it steps back right here, and that's because we're going to be hooking in underneath the arm here. So we'll just lift that out of the way. Tuck this in here. And actually, it's a little bit of a trick getting that in there. What you'll probably find yourself doing is you'll remove this 6-axle and gear from the drive line, and we'll pop that back in after we get this in place. Things are getting tight in here, and we'll end up with a little bit of difficulty getting stuff into place. There we go. Once you line it up, it should just drop right in. Lock into place. We will then take this 12-tooth gear. Let's see if I can get a good angle on this for you. There goes our test gear. There. So right in here off of Bob, that's where that 12-tooth gear is going in. Set that in place. Nobody said this project was going to be easy. There's probably an easier way to put this in. There we go, that's on. Now we just got to hook it up to this universal joint. There we go, there's a little bit of play in that axle, and that's put into place. While we have it here, there's a chance that we can set up the timing for this now. I took note of where it goes. Let's take a look. Now the timing mechanism that we've got built into this, the space is on this 40-tooth gear. It can actually be slid out of the way, so it'll unlock from the gear. And let's get this so that this lift arm that makes Bob go up and down we'll get it to the 12 o'clock position. So it's actually 12:15 is the way the two angles point. So that's straight up. And when that is straight up, this arm should be straight up. We'll put that straight up. Oh, let me show it to you. This arm here. So it's at the top, or as close to it as possible. And then from there, we'll hold that in place and slide the 40-tooth gear back into its drive position, making sure that nothing is tight, there's a little bit of play on it, just so that it's not going to jam up or cause extra friction for our system. That's in place. Let's get it running. Show you how it looks. It's not going to do a whole lot. Ooh, something's jamming up. That wasn't all the way down. Our load shifter's not shifting its load. Wow. All right, in the spirit of showing you how things can go so very, very wrong with this, I need to show you something I did. Something I did wrong. Let's pull this out. And as I was getting ready to do this, I went over the internal structure of these parts that we're going to be building today. And look what happened. I rebuilt the way this ramp attaches. I added a little more to it to make it just a little bit more solid. If you see, it has actually fused the load shifter. I built it exactly low enough that the load shifter locks onto it. There we go, we'll move that out of the way. And we're gonna pull off the 1x4 and the 1x2 plate and the 1x1 brick. So exactly that. We're gonna pull that out of the system. I'm gonna pull it out of the parts list. You can see now that this just floats, and what will happen is it's gonna lock in right here. So this will still work. I feel a little bit silly. Made a change and I didn't test it before making this video. If I had more time and wasn't on such a tight shooting schedule, I'd refilm this, but I think that's going to be okay, and I think that's going to help for any of you out there who are going a little free-spirited on this and coming up with your own solutions to perhaps missing some pieces. These are things to watch out for. These are things that you will likely encounter, and there's a learning experience here. I'll get this all straightened out and then I'll fire it back up again. Alright, let's give it a try. That's what I'm talking about. That's some load shifting action going on right there. Let me go grab us a bucket. Be right back. Instead of just one bucket, let's put the whole load wheel on. These opportunities to test are fantastic. It helps you find problems before they become buried in the device. Let's have a look. So we've got everything running smoothly here. The timing still looks good from everything that we've done previously, so we'll get that running. We should be able to get 20 buckets onto the system, and I have 20 buckets here. And it should set up its own timing. This is the first time we have the opportunity of seeing this device work in a closed loop. And look at that. Awesome. Well, let's not stop here. Let's keep this going, and we'll build the rest of the dumper. Here we go. Let's drop this next part into place. This one's easy. Right where we are. Just locks into place. Make sure it lines up down below. Everything lines up. You'll notice this is an addition that Akiyuki did not have in his machine. And this is to make it so that you can use it as a standalone or as part of a GBC circuit, depending on which way you switch the mechanism. Let's build the rest of the dumper, get this in place, and we'll give it a test. that was a tricky part to build. Now we're going to get this put into place in our ball factory. Now to do this, we're going to remove these 1x6 tiles on either side. Actually, no. I'm just going to remove one, a 1x6 tile and these 2 bricks. We can do this without removing everything, so let's keep this simple. Now, these 2 axles will go into the far side. This one goes to the edgemost hole, and that one goes into there, the 1x2 Technic brick with 1 hole. So to show you how that goes, I'm going to take this one here, and it mounts like that, and this one right there. Alright, we'll put our 1x6 tile back on top. Now we got to make this thing drive. So we've got 2 of these 1x4 levers. We'll start putting one on there. Notice the angle that it creates. It's a right angle so that it can actually tip. And we'll put on the second one so that it's wide enough, because we're going to be using a frictionless pin with axle. Let's get that in there. Now we have our 11M beam. We will attach it at the bottom on the pin of that drive unit, and we'll just bring this down. May have to move that down ramp a little bit out of the way. There we go. Make sure everything's locked into place. And just like that, we have attached our dumper. Let's power up the motor and just see how it functions. Like a well-oiled machine. Exactly what we're looking for. Let's put the main load wheel back on correctly, and then we'll give it a test. I even brought over some balls we can throw in just to see that it does indeed dump the buckets. I've got the rest of the barrels here, and we'll get this going. Now, if you want the balls going out to your next GBC module, flip your switch this way. Make sure your ramp is down and in place, but we're just going to have it loop back and drop in over here. So let's throw 2 balls in each bucket. Just like the machine would normally run. Get these put in back. Whoa, yikes, what happened there? You'll notice this device will never cease to amaze you in ways that it can find to make your life complicated. Looks like our timing is off in that we've got 1 extra bucket in here a little too early. So let's just make some space here and keep loading these in. There we go. We have a gap again. Things like this happen, and that's why we use a lot of patience when getting this set up. So the question is, why is that happening? Well, you may notice that as this runs, there's a bit of a vibration in this belt, and the instant the barrel gets to the end, the load shifter shifts. It could almost be said that the load shifter shifts too soon. Now, if you want, you can make a little bit of leeway, change the timing of it just a bit. You don't have a lot of wiggle room in there. Make sure that the changes you make are for the better and don't end up messing up your timing. I'm not completely convinced that that is the problem that we're seeing here. Let's just run it again and see. Look at all the trouble this will cause. That ball is gonna drop. Ooh. All kinds of stuff going wrong. If the unloader drops the buckets a tiny bit sooner, then they're on the conveyor belt sooner, they get to the end sooner, and that should help with our timing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the gear in here forward. 1, 2, 3 teeth. That's the 40 tooth gear on the bucket unloader. And let's see if that makes enough of a difference for missing a bucket there. There we go. That should set our timing back. So that was from the old load. There we go. The new ones are starting to arrive. And they're falling into place perfectly. Buckets are still being picked up properly and dropped off properly. And notice this isn't traveling quite as far as it should. And that adjustment is on the gearing there. Let's see if that makes a difference. Well, that got worse. Yikes, that got much worse. So right in here, where this sits on the axle, just gonna slide that back a bit and see what that does. There we go. Let's fill them back up. Just about ready to throw some more balls into these cups. Sometimes the best place to make adjustments is not the most obvious. Now let's flip our switch, see if it works in the other direction. Oh, looks like we had some balls stuck in there. It's a thing of beauty when it works right. Well, I'd say we're looking good and ready to move on to the next part. Again, thanks for watching. If you want to be notified when the next part is ready, please subscribe down below. Please post your comments in the comments below. And if you'd like, you can follow me on Google+. I am the Rebricker, and I'm more than happy to take a look at your pictures, help you with any problems you might be having, and hopefully you too can enjoy this build and not get frustrated by it. Enjoy your day, and let's see here. How many chocolates does Mrs. Rebricker get? I hope she enjoys them.